See, I think there are two ways in which people are controlled. First of all, frighten people, and secondly, demoralise them. An educated, healthy and confident nation is harder to govern. And I think there's an element in the thinking of some people. We don't want people to be educated, healthy and confident because they would get out of control.
My plan was to dig an escape tunnel. Figured, if I dug down 15 foot, then up 15 foot, I'd come out in the beer garden across from the prison. Figured if I stayed on gardens, I'd be having a pint in that pub in 4 months, 13 days. So I started digging on a likely spot. I was just starting on the topsoil when a voice from a window yelled, "Stop!" Well, that's the end of my escape tunnel plan, I thought. But then the voice said, "Don't dig there. That's Ruth Ellis's grave." And I said, "Who's Ruth Ellis?" And the voice said, "She was the last woman to be hanged in England. Dig somewhere else." And I thought, I'm standing with the edge of my spade in the last woman to be hanged in England. And it done something to my head. It was like somebody had put a spade in the top of my brain and was lifting off the topsoil, and there, lying in the earth, were all these women. It was like I was on one of those archaeological digs, you know, where you find old brooches and knives and bottles and nutshells, only I was finding these dead women. And I thought of that place, Pompeii, where that volcano erupted and lava covered everything and everybody was stuck doing what they were doing that day. And I thought, suppose it happens here. This prison suddenly gets swamped in lava, and hundreds of years later somebody like me is digging and finds this prison and all the women stuck doing what they were doing that day. And I thought, what would the person digging think? I tried to get my head around that. They found this place full of women. What's all this about then? That's what the archaeologists would say. A building full of women. Why did all these women live together? Was it some sort of holy order? Was it a brothel? Was it a place where these women could come and enjoy each other's company? They all seemed to be together in these small rooms. And then when they swept away some of the dust, they found that some of the women wore the same clothes and had these belts with these metal objects on them. Is that a type of jewellery? Wonders the archaeologist. And then the archaeologist says, wait a minute. This is a key. All the women wearing the same clothes have got all these keys. And the women in the same clothes are all outside of the rooms with other women inside. And the archaeologist puts it all together, sussed it. The women in this building must be very, very important in some way. They must be very, very special with very mighty powers, because why else would they be so carefully watched over and kept safe? And the archaeologist thinks she's uncovered the truth about this society. Its women have such mighty power. I come out of my head because someone's saying, "Rosie, you turned over that flower bed yet?" And I'm back in the prison garden, standing next to Ruth Ellis's grave. Only I'm not really back. My head's been turned over, and instead of seeing the usual gloom and grey, I see mighty power. No wonder they've got us under thumb. We're powerful. No wonder they've got us on tranks. Our heads are full of danger to them. And instead of digging a tunnel to the pub across the road, I'm digging a new tunnel. It's through all this shit they shoveled into my head. Mud to stop me moving, cement to keep me still, dirt to muck me up, and I'm sowing seeds everywhere. You think you're dirt, but you're not, kid, I say to one. You're the plant, not the fertiliser, I say to another. Don't dig out, dig in, I say. You're a beautiful rose. You're a scent of summer. You're a whole bouquet. You're a fucking wonderful flower garden. And do you know how long it took me to think through all that? 3 hours. That's how long it took me to put flowers all around Ruth Ellis's grave.
We work on separate floors of the house and meet for lunch. The racing pigeons circle knit the rooftops. I've done nothing useful for days except trace the four sides of this neighbourhood and realise that although I love you enough that I could almost become a different person, we are both stuck with me for now. Our days are little and repeating. We finish another series, talk about what's for dinner. The veg box arrives with its gifts and challenges. The spring onions regrow their green spikes in a water glass. Standing under shrubs, we crick our necks to see who is singing. The rain applauds as it falls through sycamores, and from the top of the park we look towards the city where we haven't been for months. The green globe of the empty mosque, the hospital chimney with its sneeze of steam, cranes bending their necks towards their buildings. In the woods I prophesy, next week this will all be bluebells. In a month the light will shine through beech leaves, translucent and uncrinkling from their buds. The May will come out and make the air thicker, almost syrupy. We will leave our coats at home.
Hello. Hello out there. I think I've got the hang of this, but I'm never quite sure who I'm talking to. So, if you are out there, can we talk about sex? Don't pull a face. I know if you're under 40, you're probably repulsed by the idea anybody my age still has such a thing. But tough, we do. Get over it, as you probably say. I mean, look, you're in lockdown. There's not a lot to do. You're not exactly busy work-wise. To be honest, I'm used to being out of the house. I'm used to travelling all over the country. I'm a buyer and getting back shattered. I'm used to not having enough time for all that closeness. But now, well, there's no avoiding it really, is there? Not that I was avoiding it before. It's just when you get older, it moves a few places down your list of priorities. He's older than I am, and so he counts as vulnerable, though he's not vulnerable in all departments, I can tell you. So if I was to carry on my life and bring the virus back here, that would be. So, we're stuck here until, well, forever. Or until one of us slips up, gets to disinfect something, or doesn't get out of the way fast enough to avoid a jogger. What is it with them? Do they think because they're coming really fast it doesn't count? We saw this jogger run right past a woman on a walking frame. She had Down syndrome and she was out on this really slow walk with her very elderly parents, and this frigging jogger just blasts past her, doesn't even swerve. I mean, that's a statement, isn't it? That says, my right to personal health and fitness trumps your right to live. Do you know, I've been thinking a lot about that over the last couple of months. About when did people get so bloody selfish? Where is that coming from? Brian says, I've always been paranoid when it comes to what goes on in high places. You see, I've always believed that the people in charge are in fact absolute bastards. Turns out I'm not paranoid. They are out to get us. The old, the poor, the vulnerable, and people with underlying health conditions, which I think is code for fat. Everything this government's done since the virus hit does imply they want rid. And if that's the game, they're doing a great job. Worst death toll in Europe. Second worst in the world. All right, for the sake of balance, let's look at it from their point of view. Just think of all the money they'll save on our pensions. Think of all those NHS treatments elderly people will no longer need because they're dead. Think of all those homeless people that they'll no longer have to have a twinge of guilt stepping over. Think of all those underlying health conditions that the NHS will no longer need to treat. So from their point of view, result. Plus, over the last few years, they've managed to convince younger people that it's all older people's faults anyway, which might account for the joggers. Climate change, for example. Old people did that, having too many holidays. NHS in crisis. Old people living too long. High rents, student debt, low wages, old people again, because we're the boomer generation and we've had it far too good for far too long. Nothing to do with governments then. Nothing to do with bankers gambling on all our futures. Nothing to do with billionaires raking in another 25% since the last crash. No. Old people are to blame. So, me and Brian, what do you think our chances are of coming out the other end? When they force you back to work and tell you it's safe and you know it isn't, and the second wave hits, and all the people in care homes who survived it last time cop for it, and half their carers too because they still haven't got PPE, when we have to go back to supermarkets because there is never a delivery slot, when there's so many people out on the street it's impossible to keep a safe distance, sooner or later we'll probably cop for it. And it's quite depressing to think that this government wouldn't give a toss. So, to come back to my first point, in the face of all that, spending some time fucking each other's brains out starts to look like a reasonable option. Morning, darling.
Hiya Vix, it's me, Jude Ovs. I hope you're okay and you're not replying because you're doing something fun. Oh God, possibly because it's 3 AM. Yeah, soz. I just need to tell someone what happened and how the hell I got here, and that someone's you, Ovs. So you know how I've been saying that I like to do my government sanctioned exercise at night when we're on lockdown to avoid the crazies? Well, I was doing my fitness, just sat on the swings having a fag. They just appeared. Aliens, Vix. I'm not talking about when I saw that ghost either. Actual alien encounter in Leeds. Don't know how to describe them to you. You know, like most people have 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 nostrils. Well, they're kind of like the exact opposite of we are. Just use your imagination. They didn't talk, but they still communicated. They had this weird, swirly intensity. I figured that if they can't talk, I bloody well can. So I was like, hi, you alright? Nothing. I try again. Please do not ask me to take you to my leader because... And then, that... Oh my God, Vix, some sort of stun gun or something like that, right? I figure that they've killed me. Weird glowing lights, sci-fi sound effects, and I'm all tingly, as if I'm wearing a bodysuit made out of pockets, yeah, and the pockets have all got mobile phones stuffed inside them, and they're all going off on vibrate. Wasn't totally unpleasant. I've got all of my life flashing all over the place. I can just see it. Great, right? But not just the bad bits. Good bits too. Like you and me riding our bikes. Me kissing Deck at the Leavers Ball. You protecting me from his girlfriend. You holding my hair back on my 30th. You always helping me. And then you and me starting to drift. That's when I realised that I've not been zapped into space pieces. I'm still here. Well, not here, but we'll get to that. I know I'm all over the place anyways. I was everywhere, Vix. They took me to the leader. He's not a person. He's an understanding. And I understood, mostly. Teleportation. What it is, bear with me. It's information. It's the transfer of data. Not matter. Not me, but what matters. It's quantum qubits. Little bits of information that gets moved, but without the physical particles moving too. Teleportation. It's not transport. It's communication, Vix. So how did I get here? I walked, Vix. I walked to your garden for the 3,000th time. It's the first place I come when running to use a habit, a bad one. The way to your house is a one-way street, like our friendship. Get scared, Vix. I know that I'm not. I'm sorry. I know you've got a full life, and I'm really happy for you and Darryl. I know you're trying for a baby, and if that's the reason that you're not replying, then I am triple sorry for all the calls. But I am here in your garden. So if you were wondering who left that little gift box on your doorstep, then it's me. All them tins of beans with the little veggie sausages in that you like. You thought I was the mad one, eh? I always get them in for when you come over, but I've been gathering dust lately. It's been a while, hasn't it? So you should have him. I'm gonna go now. This ain't meant to be melodramatic, and it's not a cry for help or anything like that. You're my best friend, and I just want you to understand that I saw everything up there. Everything. What's going to happen, what you need. Space, Vix. The aliens showed me that. And what they me showed is I'm going to be okay. So, yeah. Take care. I love you, mate. Hey. Look up to the skies. Oh God, sorry. Don't worry, I'm okay. I just dropped my phone, I'm alright.
There is fear. Fear of isolation, loneliness, lack of touch, loss of contact, routine, structure, food, hope. There is a shutdown. Eyes closed, drink up, curtains closed. There is a lack of fear. A brazen, misguided blitz spirit ignores that which we cannot see or hear or smell, but that can touch us, has touched us, and ours, with the power of a babe's index finger lightly felling 100-year-old oak. There is an exhausted front line, lucky if gloved, masked and applauded, missing their own, buckling down, pushing on. There is trauma. There will be post-traumatic stress. There will be grief. Then there is space and time and something else that cannot yet be touched but that is all around us and moving through us and beyond us. The earth is healing itself, or so they say. The pollution smog is clearing and mountaintops can be glimpsed above the cities. The natural inherent sounds of the earth are buzzing and creaking and bubbling and rumbling louder than ever before. Or perhaps, in such quiet times, we have only just noticed them. People are writing. I'm writing. People are making music. I am singing. People are singing. There are books whose pages have not been turned for a decade being dusted off and delved into. Other worlds being sought, imagined and found. There are collaborations across screens and through windows. There are sketches and paintings glowing with energy. There are platforms for working, speaking, listening being developed and challenged and expanded. There are people caring and debating and finding common ground and breaking new ground. And sleeping and resting like never before, knowing in some unspoken way that the healing and power of sleep is profound. There are people realising that after this, their situation must be changed by them and decisions must be made. But only now have they had the time and space to reflect. There are people having heart-to-hearts and rows. There are people unravelling the life that's been wound so tightly around them. There are people, we are the people, allowing ourselves to breathe, allowing ourselves to imagine. Peeping through the clouds like a dazzling diamond, the sun shines.
Hi, Derek. Can you hear me? No, I can see. I can't. Put your mic on. Icon. Bottom left. That's it. Got you now. Yeah, lovely. What time is it there? Oh, yeah, I keep forgetting how far in front of us you are. Yeah. Oh, this, yes. This is all suited, booted and ready for the off. It's what she would have wanted. Hey, it's what she would have expected. Even when we ain't got a pot to piss in, it was best suits, shiny faces, shiny shoes. Yeah, I am a bit early. Yeah, it's not till 2:30, the service. So, but I thought I'd, to be honest, she used to say to me, Edward, you'll be late for your own funeral. So I'm going to prove her wrong today and be early for hers. She would, yeah. Yeah. No. It's... I thought I'd contact you today to find out how you were feeling after yesterday. Hey, no, listen, you don't have to apologise. You don't have to apologise to me or to anybody else. Now, look, come on, nobody expected you to be here. I mean, you're at the other side of the world, for God's sake. Look, you've got nothing to reproach yourself for. I told you that. You came when my dad was ill and you brought our Janet. And that meant a lot to my mother. And also, it meant a lot to her how you looked after our Janet before. Look, you were more of a son to her than a... Don't worry about them two. I keep telling you. I'll deal with that. No, they'll not be there. Our Don's got Jean to look after because of her health. She's on lockdown. And, our Dave with his health problems, he's not going anywhere for a long time. So, it's just me, eh? Last man standing. Yeah. No, I've been fine. I've been all right. Yeah, I mean, I was all right up to yesterday. And I didn't sleep very well last night. I think it was after what the vicar said to me. Yeah, vicar. Some twat with his collar on back to front who asked a few questions about my mother. Then he's going to stand up in the service and talk to her about as if he's known her from birth. Yeah. Yeah. And then I got thinking about it last night, and I could not get to sleep. I was thinking, is that what life comes down to then? You spend 90 odd years on the planet and your life's reduced to 5 or 6 bullet points. And then I got thinking about all the things that I could have said, all the things I should have said, really. Not just about my mother, about her in particular, but it was that generation, isn't it? When you stop to think, I mean, I don't know how much you know about my mother's early life, but I mean, she was born in the 1920s into slum housing conditions in Sheffield, and her dad in and out of work for a decade, so not exactly the best starting word in life, is it? And then Didn't know two of her brothers. They were killed in France. Then we used to take the piss out of her when she used to get her sentences mixed up or use the wrong word. But what you got to remember is her education finished when she was 13. She went to work at 13 as a servant, skivvy, big house up door, Nob Hill. Used to treat her like shit. Hit her till her mother found out, my grandma, and went up there and dragged her out. Then she worked at the bakery, early shifts, then baskets, shifts, long hours. And then, you know, she was a grafter. She was 19 when she met me dad, and then it was wartime. She says he took advantage of me. Says, mother, it must have been in blackout. Yeah, she laughed, yeah. And then you see, the result of all that courting was our Donald on the scene. So my dad and they got married, but they got nowhere to live, so they moved in with his parents, my grandma and granddad. Apparently my granddad was a bit of a bastard, he was a boozer, so my dad had to sort him out on more than one occasion. So she'd all that to put up with, you see. And to top it all, my dad gets called up. So there she is, a young woman with a baby, living in somebody else's house. It's wartime, so there's rationing on food, clothing, and then the Blitz. So she's going into air raid shelters with that baby, underground. I mean, 4 years of that, she come out smiling. Can you imagine what it'd be like now, eh? If they had to put up with that. We've only been asked to stop in and watch telly for 4 weeks and everybody's moaning. And you know, I thought about it last night. When we were growing up, we never wanted for anything. I knew we hadn't got much money, but I never remember not being well fed, not being cared for and not being loved. She had that little job as a cleaner, but she was always there for us. And then when my dad got dementia, well, I wasn't always there for him, but she was. She looked after him all on her own most of the time. She was brilliant. We wanted to put him in a care home where he'd get professional help. But she said no, she wouldn't think of it. Looked after him 24/7. She was amazing. And of course, when he died, it was like she'd been running a marathon. She got to the finishing line and collapsed. I mean, she was all right mentally, still as sharp as ever. But physically, well, it was as if her body was spent. That's what the doctors called it, spent. And then, of course, when she got ill, we decided that we were going to put her in a care home. Well, decided eventually. And then, of course, we got the phone call to say that she'd been taken ill. And no, don't get me wrong when I'm saying this, because I'm not blaming the people in the care home or the doctors or the nurses who came to look after her. I'm not blaming them at all. Not at all. They've been amazing. No complaints. But you see, my mum died with none of us around her. And what's preying on my mind last night more than anything was the fact that we will never really know the cause of death. Because you see, they're not being counted in nursing homes. Not being tested and not being counted. Can you believe that? Hundreds of women like my mother, maybe thousands, who've gone through all that for us, not even being tested and counted, because the government want to keep the figures down. My mum's not being tested because she was just an ordinary old woman. My mother doesn't fucking count. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I said I wouldn't do that, but I'm ringing you to try and cheer you up and look at me. I better keep an eye on the time, because if I want to call in on the other two, yeah. Listen, I'm not going to call you tomorrow. I'll wait till I've got over all this, and then I'll probably give you a Zoom call again at the weekend, all right? Yeah. Yeah, good, yeah. So I'm going to go now. Listen, give my love to everybody, won't you? Eh? Yeah. All right, mate. Yeah. See you later. Cheers, Derek.
Picking up the soap, I remember it's your birthday. What kind of a birthday will you have on a day like this, with the sun shining, the clouds a light lather on the sky? Happy birthday to you. Perhaps we should talk more than once a year, on this day when celandines open their petals like the spaces between my fingers, which I part and lattice gently. Are you well, I wonder, bringing a fist tightly around each thumb and pulling. Do you think about me? I almost ask aloud as I bracelet each wrist. Maybe it's better like this, I think, rinsing my hands in clear warm water, flicking them into the sink. 2. Your hair will keep you strong and safe. In times of threat you must not cut or shave it. Let it grow joyfully everywhere you wouldn't normally let it. Around your ankles, down the back of your neck. Put your razor in a drawer with an elegy you've written for it. Bathe with lavender oil and watch the blunt black hairs on your legs getting longer. Think of the cilia inside your lungs, growing unhampered and rowdy, ready to clear your airways. At night, lie to sleep on your right-hand side, stroking the fur of your left armpit, reciting the name of every pet you've ever loved. 3. The outside has been survived by the inside. There is nowhere for us to open our windows into. We can't hear the rain. We don't know if there is rain anymore. We have had to accommodate thousands of homeless butterflies. Their caterpillars are chomping the houseplants. When they flutter their wings in unison, it feels like the walls are breathing.
I come from a land of rituals. Everybody does, I suppose. According to this loud man on YouTube, we all must have a morning routine. The miracle morning. First thing you do, after ablutions, is move. Preferably slay Orange Theory, which I worked out is a gym, wearing Lululemon workout gear. Then meditate, like an Indian yogi but channeled through a Californian rip-off with blonde ambition. And then you journal, write your private thoughts, which involve some self-absorbed whinging and baying at the world. But in time, these private thoughts will be edited into real, deep, insightful, ironic thoughts and be shared on social media and possibly a blog which you could monetize. Slogans on t-shirts work well, apparently. Have a gratitude minute where you write down everything you are grateful for. Like the way the sun glistens on the water in your swimming pool, or how the avocado spreads perfectly on your toasted soda bread. All this, your miracle morning before your first bulletproof coffee. Where I come from, a bulletproof coffee is where the sniper misses you by a whisper but kills the stallholder that just sold you a sweet clay cup of milky coffee. That's a miracle morning. Where I come from, rituals target women's bodies. In war, of course. Women's bodies. My body is a weapon to be wagered between enemy lines. The power between my legs is so strong that when you hear the sound of boots or the distant whir of a helicopter, your family wraps you up in a heavy mattress, sometimes for hours. You could suffocate or drown from sweat or die from the darkest of thoughts. No questions asked. I went out for a walk about 3 weeks ago with my makeshift mask. The man smiles and comes too close to ask, "Doesn't that suffocate you?" I smile at him through my mask. He won't see the smile that will not reach my eyes. Where I come from, my land of rituals, we do death really well. Every ceremony, every hymn, every mythology, every creed, every verse in the holy books involves death. Flowers, presuppose transience. Incense presumes putrefaction. We invoke beauty while expecting the rot, like candles in expectation of darkness. No question. But rituals are peacetime indulgences, distractions from the dailiness of normal life. War dismantles ritual, compels you to make new ones. No. And yet everything has prepared me for this. The afterburn of a life of ritual. The rotting flowers, the incense, the burnt out candles, the broken pieces of my home. No. This might be the worst. An enemy without borders. No. I ask you, what ritual for this?